Well, to heal.
I know.
The Sarah's food.
Okay, chapter 3, we were learning about the middays, how they affect our character. What I want to explain to you today, excuse me, very briefly how this works, and then we'll go on with the chapter. When you really want to do something, an idea lights up in your mind, you think it's a great idea, and you decide that you're going to do it. That decision is in your heart. If it's not in your heart, you're not going to do it. Okay, that decision in your heart, you love it. Love is in the heart, and the right side of the heart, that's called Ava, and it's from the midah is chesed. Having good midas means here. It means your midas work in a positive and a good way. The animal soul has selfish midas, which are often harmful to other people and to oneself. But then, you know, I'm sure you all did science experiments in school, in high school, in junior high school. Once you know what the experiment is about, you have to, first of all, do something very tedious. You have to make a list of things that you're going to need. I'm going to need this, I'm going to need test tubes, I'm going to need this chemical, I'm going to need certain kind of paper, I'm going to need pens. You have to list every single thing you need. That is from the midah of gevura, discipline, analyzing the whole thing, breaking it down into its separate parts and requirements. And from this, you see what you need to do. And then you're going to think, well, how am I going to get these things? If I can't get them, then I'm going to have to redefine the project. Okay, that is step number 2 in every single thing you're going to do. From getting up in the morning till you go to sleep at night, every project that you undertake is going to go through these 2 steps. I want to do it. What are the components? And is it feasible? According to that, is it feasible? And let's say it's not feasible, but the Rebbe said something that inspired you and you don't want to just give it up like that because it looked too difficult. So you put more thought into it and you think of how you can overcome these the limitations, and you harmonize your desire to do it with the demands of the disciplinary demands that you have, the limitations that you're going to have to overcome. And that's the 3rd stage where you harmonize these 2 principles, and that's called tiferes. Okay, let me write it down for you. And this is going to be every project that you're going to do is going to go through these 3 stages. Stage 1 is you love it, you want to do it. Stage 2 is to analyze what's required and to therefore to judge if it's going to be possible or not. And the 3rd stage is the blend of the 2, that to harmonize both of these things. And that enables you to come to a beautiful resolution of the problem. Okay, very often these are diagrams, shows them like this, but this is the positive and this is the negative, and this is the positive and negative together, which is tiferes. This is connected with the concept of truth. And interestingly enough, it's also connected with the fathers of the Jewish people, that Abraham served Hashem by giving people food and drink and teaching them. And out of gratitude, they would pray to, they would acknowledge that there's one invisible God. Abraham would say, don't thank me, thank Hashem. Where else are you going to get such a meal in the desert? And then you have Gevura, which is symbolized, epitomized by Yitzchak. Avram drew people close to the truth by giving them food. Yitzchak's avoida was digging wells, which is very hard work. As a result of digging wells, water shoots up into the air. He discovers water, and the water rises up. So this is a service of rising up to Hashem. And in terms of davening, that's the fire of davening. Abraham gives, that's water just coming down like rain, blessings from heaven. So that these represent two different kinds of service of a God. From bringing down blessings, and the other discovering deep down within a person or within a situation the goodness that's there. Truth is represented by Yaakov. What's Yaakov represented by? Well, both sides. He is the sincere, simple person serving God with all his heart, sitting learning Torah. Yaakov represents Torah, but also, like last week, we read how Yaakov fought against angels. He fought against the guardian angel of Esau, and he prevailed over him. And he had to deal with Lavan, his father-in-law, the swindler, and he prevailed over him. So that he had both the strength of a warrior and the devotion and love of Hashem of Avram. He combined both. So all the Jewish souls come from Yaakov. Because from Avram came a Yishmael. Who was not a good person. He did teshuvah in the end of his life, but we suffer from his children to the present day. And from Yitzchak came Esau, who was also not a good person. We suffer from him to the present day. But from Yaakov, we get the 12 sons of Yaakov, all righteous. These are the fathers of the Jewish people to the present day. The question was raised last week, what about somebody who is new to Judaism, who becomes Jewish, so Avraham is their father? And where did they come from? That's a mystery. Therefore, the whole conversion process is cloaked in mystery. And it's been suggested that these are the individuals. The Torah, when Hashem gave the Torah, he offered it to all the nations. Before he offered it to the Jews, and nobody should complain that it's not fair. If we'd been offered the Torah, we would have accepted it. So Hashem offered the Torah to all the nations. They all refused it. Well, how could they refuse it? They weren't even nations yet. So I guess that means he offered it to the guardian angel of each nation. Each nation has a soul, general soul, in which all the particular souls of its inhabitants derive. So I guess they all refused it. And they offered to the Jews, and we said, Nasa and Nishma, Baruch Hashem. Such a profound answer. We're the only ones who didn't say what's in it. We said, we'll do it. My mother used to complain, Oleh Sholem, they tell you to do something, jump, and you say, how high? That was our response at Mount Sinai. Okay, now, let's say you're doing a project. Let's say you're making a float. Let's say you're organizing an event for Yutes Kislev, for Hanukkah. Okay? And you go through these, who says, yeah, I really want to do it. I'm going to need a place. I'm going to need to make flyers. I'm going to need to contact schools and youth groups. I'm going to need to do a lot of things. You know, Hanukkah, 1991, they made a hookup. So satellites were pretty new in those days. It was the first time they made a hookup with places lighting the menorah all over the world. It was a global rally with the Rebbe. And in the Kremlin, which was the seat of the government of communist Russia, that had been the source of the persecution of Jews for 70 years, since 1920 to 1990, in the Kremlin, they lit the menorah. And there's a picture of the Rebbe seeing this on the video screen for the first time. Incredible. Well, getting all those pieces together, that's the Gevurah part of it. And then making sure that it all runs smoothly, make sure that all the details are going to work together. That's the Tiferes part of it. Keeping your eyes focused on the objective. Okay, now remember, this was in the days of creation. This was the day of creating light. Let there be light, and there was light. This is the separation of the waters. That's the idea of strength, the Gevurah. Following me? Am I losing you? It's clear, right? It's extraordinary. It's really amazing. And this is Tiferes here. Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferes. And just like in the days of creation, so we have two things, the creation of bodies of water. The water recedes into bodies of water, oceans, lakes, rivers, and growth begins. So we get both these factors, both the Gevurah, separating the waters into bodies of waters, and Chesed, light, growth, plants, trees, all kinds of growing things. Now we come to Wednesday. Fourth stage. It repeats the pattern from above. Frogs were created on the fifth day. I think I got one in my throat.
When we're swallowed.
Okay, so now we come to Wednesday. What happens on Wednesday is a repetition of the first day. The first day is let there be light. Wednesday, we're going to bring it down lower with the sun and the moon and all the stars twinkling in the heavens. Okay, so that's Wednesday. The idea, but bringing it down. You see how they're connected. They're in the same, put in the same kav, same line. What is this? Give me a second. Okay.
You want some water?
That's like the rooster in the morning. All right, here we go. In the project now, you're coming up with difficulties. You're going to confront challenges. The borough president doesn't allow. Got a great project all set to go. You can't get the permits. So now comes determination. To get it done. The light has to now come down to a lower level, that the love of this project has to spread to the chief of police and to the mayor and to the principals. They should let the children come, and your determination to succeed. That's called netzach. Netzach means we're going to get it done. 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 The determination, this is going to happen. I'm not going to give up now. Let's say you're writing a novel. So you got to get all the characters and all the events. You start writing and writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. Before you know it, you have 1,000 pages. If you're a writer. Okay. It's too long. So we're going to have to separate the essential from the inessential, that we should get to clarity. It has to shine. It has to read itself. It has to be brilliant. Here, you're just burying the person under your ideas. You're so determined to get it done. So this, just like the separated waters, on this lower level, this is the idea of hoid, which is shine. It's not enough to get it done. You have to get it done right. So this is revision. This is the stage of revision. Revising a project. Cutting away everything that you don't need. Everything that just befuddles the issue. It's very good. You know, when you write something, you come up with all kinds of good ideas. But if you tell them, you write them all down and try and give them out, someone gets to the end. You lose your reader. Keep it short, keep it simple. Simple is true. So that's where the truth comes down into the simplicity. It's, in other words, these two work together like they're compared to the two thighs that you move with. Get it done, but get it done right. Just getting it done isn't enough. Like in athletics, you train, a lot of people try out for the team, gymnastics or football or field hockey or whatever it is. A lot of people try out. A lot of them, they're all good. Some are better than others. You have to make a cut. You have to decide what's your starting lineup. And these decisions are crucial decisions. So that's the relationship of Netzach V'Hoid. And now we have to keep focused. Not too much Netzach, not too many details, and not too much cutting. Sometimes you cut so much that you leave out the best ideas. They fall away. So we have to come down here to the next level, which is called Yesoid. And that's about communication. You have to remember your audience. Who are you talking to? What are the terms that they're going to respond to? And what are the terms? And sometimes you say something that's very true, but it's insensitive. It's going to be offensive to their listener. You have to be very careful. There's certain subjects, they're buzzed. You're not allowed to talk about them with every community. You're not allowed to talk about the Holocaust very flippantly if you're in Australia, because there's a lot of Holocaust survivors live there. You have to be very careful how you talk about women if a group who are into women's rights, or about I never even know what to call them. Afro-Americans. Their name changes every few years, depending on what's politically correct to refer to our colored neighbors. So you have to remember your audience at all times and choose your terms very carefully so that you're speaking to them. You have to always remember the audience. I think I even told you the story once. When we were moving on the 14th of Kislev, we moved into our house. It was an extremely cold night, extremely cold. My wife loves plants, and all the plants died moving 2.5 blocks from our apartment to our house. All died. It was so freezing cold. I knew this person from out of town where we had lived formerly, and he happened to be here in Crown Heights, and he had a truck, and I had movers who were helping us, and I had a truck. He says, "I'll help you," and he did. And when he came into the house, he said, "Oh, you know what you need in your house? You need a sofa. I have a sofa," because he was also moving. He says, "I have a sofa, would be perfect for you." I said, "Oh, no, Mr. So-and-so. We have 2 sofas already. We don't need a third one." Oh, but this is a leather sofa. It's very expensive. Anyway, as much as I tried to talk him out of it, he brought the sofa anyway. Because why? Because he loved this idea of helping us and giving us. He wanted to give, but he didn't hear what we were saying, that we don't need it. So we got it. And we gave it away to somebody else. But he did his thing. He gave because he was only interested in his giving. He wasn't interested in communicating. And this is a key factor in marriage. To have lines of communication. To always remember who you're talking to. It's not just about getting your own way and expressing your opinion. And this corresponds to Friday. If Wednesday is putting the lights up in the heavens, so Thursday is separating the waters, is on a lower level, the creation of in the heavens of birds and creepy crawly things. Creepy crawlies. All the insects and swarming life in the waters and in the air. And then Friday is the creation of animals and mankind. Just before Shabbos, like around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Friday afternoon. So what's doing Friday afternoon? Friday afternoon, you're gathering all of these things together, bringing all the themes and all the flyers and the publicity and the people and setting up the chairs and getting ushers into the hall, and the entertainers are there, and the band has practiced and everything is set to go, and then you have the performance. The final realization of everything that went into it, and that is Shabbos. Now you sit back and relax. Did it. Shabbos. Comes Shabbos, comes rest. So I'm not doing anything anymore. Everybody else is doing, but I'm not doing anymore. So you see, these are the 7 steps of any project you're going to do is going to go through these 7 steps. There's no other way. What's missing here in this total picture? What's missing is the idea behind the whole thing. The idea doesn't do. Only these 7 midas these are the doers. But the idea, it isn't the doer. The idea is an inspirer, and that is Chabad. The 3 aspects of the intellect. So the 3 aspects of the intellect, the 7 days of the week, that makes your 10-fold structure, which is the DNA of creation in the world. That's the skeleton underpinning of everything. Question time. You have such a satisfied smile on your face, Malcolm. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. No, it's very heartwarming.
Oh, thanks.
It's a good thing to have sense.
Okay. Thanks.
I think they will.
What? No questions? Okay.
When did the spiders start doing push-ups on the mirror, though?
Just a minute. She beat you to it. What?
Is there supposed to be something below?
What?
Is there supposed to be something below that arrow under that stuff?
Here?
Yeah.
That's a hard yes, I don't. No, you see what we see here is that the things line up. This is like one kav. This is a second kav, right, left, and center. So this finds its source here in Gevura, and Netzach finds its source in Chesed, and Yesoid, the connector, finds itself with the harmonizing concept of Das, of Tiferes, and Tiferes links with Das which Das is bringing together on an intellectual level, Chachma and Bina. So that Chachma and Bina come together in Das, but that's still in intellect. And then Das gives over to Chesed and Gevurah. And Tiferes connects with Das. That's the middle kav. And Tiferes comes down into Yesod. And they all come into Malchus. Malchus is the final completion. It's called Malchus. So that's the bottom level, which now becomes the top level of the next thing down. So we start up here with Chachma. That's the Chachma of Atzilus, and this would be Malchus, the bottom level. So we're gonna have this structure, tenfold structure ending up in Malchus, which Malchus then becomes Chabad. Malchus becomes Chabad of, if this is Atzilus, so this becomes Chabad of Bria, and so on, all the way down through, and this is called the great chain of creation. And chains within chains within chains.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. So the Rebbe connects the three mitzvahs particular to women with Netzach Hod Yesod. We have Shabbos candles. And kosher food. And on this level here, the laws of, I don't have room for it here. Family purity. I don't have a Chana in this class, but Chana stands for Chala, Nida, laws of family purity, and Hadlakas Haneres, lighting of candles. I'm not sure exactly where they should go, and that's a Chod Yesod. I'm just making that up as I go along, but it's curious that Rebbe's mother's name is Hannah, and from this we get the three mitzvahs that are specially designated for women, which is the basis of the Jewish home. I guess Nida should go down here because Nida is next generation's children. How we have children. All right. Tonight is the beginning of the holiday of Yutes Kislev, a time for us to get together. I'm sure you're going to have Farbrengens in the dorm tonight. Tomorrow we have school. School continue through the Hanukkah every day.
We have off that Friday to Monday.
Over Shabbos and Monday till Monday.
No, we don't have Monday off, we have Thursday and Friday.
Just Friday.
Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday.
Okay.
That's all.
So we have Today's tomorrow and Wednesday. That's it for this week. Okay, so from Yutes Kislev,
No, next week. This week is a full week. Next week is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
oh,
Am I right? Yeah.
okay.
It's just because Thanksgiving, a lot of people are leaving.
The story is that when the Alter Rebbe was in prison, he was in solitary confinement for 53 days. And it was in interrogations. And he was visited in prison. This is kind of mystical. He was visited by his Rebbe. His Rebbe was not living in this world anymore. And he was visited by his Rebbe's Rebbe. So the Alter Rebbe in his lifetime never met the Baal Shem Tov, but when he was in prison, he met him. And they asked him to say a mimer. And he said a mimer, and the Baal Shem Tov, I imagine, went like this. The Baal Shem Tov said to the Maggid, who was his successor, did he say good? And he said, exactly as I taught it to him. And he says, yes, and that's exactly how I taught it to you. And this was when Russia opened up and it became possible to visit all kinds of places. The Rebbe sent somebody to visit this prison and to go to this prison cell. The Rebbe wanted to know if there was room in the cell for 3 physical people. He wanted to verify that this was a reality and not a dream vision. There were 3 physical people. So the Alter Rebbe said, now there are 2 instances in the Alter Rebbe's life where he saved the development of Hasidism. One was when there was a decree against the Maggid, and the Alter Rebbe gave the parable of the king who ground up, who was told he had to grind up the gemstone in his crown into a powder and give it in a potion to his son to save his life. And he did it. So that was the idea of Hasidus, was the gemstone. And the Kittrig was that the Alter Rebbe was revealing secrets, and the Maggid was revealing secrets that were not meant to be revealed. And this was grinding up the gemstone into powder, was like having manuscripts of the deepest secrets of Torah lying around on the ground, because they were being revealed. And so people were not respecting the holiness of what it was, and therefore there was a movement in heaven to put a stop to it. and the movement was quelched, and the Maggid was given the green light to continue teaching. Now the Alter Rebbe was in jail, and they came to him and they told him that the reason he's in jail is not because the Russians are accusing him of collaborating with the Turks, because Russia was at war with Turkey for control of the Middle East, of the Mediterranean, because Russia wanted to get control of the Mediterranean. To the present day, it's like that. And the Ottoman Empire was practically in control, and the Alter Rebbe was sending huge amounts of money to Hasidim in Israel, which was under the Turks. And so his opponents, Jewish opponents, fabricated these charges of high treason against him to put a stop to him, to put a stop to the development of Hasidism, saying he was collaborating with the Muslim Turks against the Russians. However, the Alter Rebbe had fought with the Russians against Napoleon, so that worked in his favor. But the main thing was that he answered all their questions, which was very, very difficult for him. The minister came to the Alter Rebbe when he was in jail, and he wanted to examine. He had heard he was brilliant. He wanted to see. So he said to him, "Can I ask you a question in Torah learning?" He said, "Yes." He said, when Adam and Chava ate from the fruit in the garden, the forbidden fruit, Hashem came to them and said, "Where are you?" The Hebrew word for that is ayeka. And Rashi and the minister said, why did Hashem have to ask where they were? Doesn't Hashem know where everybody is? Doesn't God know where everybody is? So the Alter Rebbe said, yes, he was just making conversation so that they would relax and be able to answer him, because they would be so nervous in the presence of God that they wouldn't be able to communicate. So the minister said, I know, he had learned Torah, the minister of education. He said, I know that that's the answer that Rashi gives. What do you have to say? So the Alter Rebbe said that every detail of the Torah is by divine providence and is pertinent to every person in every time and every place. When Hashem came to Adam and Chava, he came not only to them, but he came to he comes to everybody with the same question. It wasn't just the minister asking the question. Hashem was asking the question through the minister. For instance, if a person gets to be the age of 48 years old, or 52 or 53, Hashem comes to him and tells him, you have a mission in life. There's a reason that you're alive. What have you accomplished in your life's mission? And how much do you still have to go? How much you still have to do? And when he said the number of years, that was exactly the number of years of that minister. And he was so impressed by the Rebbe's answer that the Rebbe was telling him that he had to make a reckoning in his soul about his own life. He said, bravo. He was so impressed, he later helped the Rebbe to be vindicated of all the charges against him. The Friediger Rebbe pointed out about this story something very profound, that it's not just what the Alter Rebbe said to the minister, but that lesson is applying to every single one of us. Hashem is asking every one of us, where are you up to? How much have you accomplished? And how much still remains to be done? And a person has to answer that question. And the Friediger Rebbe pointed out that not only it applies to us, but it saved the Rebbe's life. Because the Alter Rebbe took that as a question from Hashem to himself. That Hashem was asking him how much had he done and how much did he still have to do. And that gave him the inner strength to survive the whole ordeal of being in prison for those 53 days, because he realized that he still had a lot of teaching to do. Have a good Yontif, so it's a good time for us all to ask that question of ourselves, Ayeka, where are we up to? And to make good resolutions in learning Torah and in doing good deeds. Helping others. I should be afraid of that.
Rabbi Pape. Thank you.